to having a formalized system of addressing people, processes, and technology, and actually practicing what you probably would have heard over the past 2 days. And I'll give you a bit of an indication on how do we attempt to do that, and what's the way, what are the techniques that we're using to employ that. So currently we are somewhere in between, but the thought process is that we have to move towards the other side, where we have employees as ambassadors of the company participating at scale within the social media space, vetted by a formalized system which includes people, tools, and processes, and ultimately giving a cohesive experience to the consumers. Now, we can probably move ahead. So one of the key marketing challenges, and we've been to various conferences, and the social media thing has been a thing of hype over the past few years. And one of the key challenges that I have seen personally in the market, and we believe nobody has addressed it till now, is that, well, yes, sure enough, there is a party happening, but what actually increases the impact of, or makes it a little bit more challenging, is that there are multiple parties happening, and brands need to be present across those multiple parties. And by multiple parties, I just don't mean the channels, but what I also mean is that the various ways in which social manifests itself. Early on, we realized that social for us is not just about Facebook or Twitter, or even about blogs or a few other channels. Social needs to be taken into perspective as a social business, as a fundamental thing to business. And therefore, when we look at the various things within what could be done within social media, it could bring up and throw up a kind of a busy array of things that you could potentially do. But what is really critical to understand is, where does each one of these attributes fit in? What is the marketing impact of each one of these? So yesterday it was Facebook and Twitter, today it's Quora, tomorrow it's something else. Where does all of those things fit in? Do the tools even matter? If they matter, where do they fit in? What about the newer technologies? And the fact that there is no market framework. So we ended up making one of our own self. So the one that you see on the right-hand side is almost a methodification of the fragmented space that we have right now within the social media space. So we said, if you have to approach the social media space, it could be viewed into 4 key modules. One module is social integration. And social integration means, how do you integrate various departments internally within the organization to bring across a cohesive story. The other part of social integration is, how do you as an organization across your various social channels and presences bring an integrated and consistent voice to the consumers. And as Chris mentioned initially, doing this across Bangladesh to Australia is not as easy. The second key module then becomes social asset optimization. And by that what I mean is that as an organization, we have a lot of digital assets. How do we socialize those assets? How do we socialize our existing website so that it becomes a really more meaningful, valuable, conversational, collaborative in nature? And that forms the part of social asset optimization. And believe me, that is social media as well. We have a lot of videos. How do you make those videos shareable? How do you make those videos easy for people to take, kind of refer back to, so on and so forth. Social insights then becomes another really important part, a little bit less talked about part, but people are beginning to talk about that over the past couple of years. Things like social CRM. Things like listening, for example, have been into practice for quite a while now. But what are the key parameters that you can take out from listening? You can, sure enough, you can use the various kind of tools. But what are the insights that you can actually drive from those tools? Can you increase listening from just passive listening? Can you validate it to some extent? Is there a method in which you can identify or track memes in the initial stages when they're getting formed? Can you find the customer lifecycle value of your Facebook fan page? And those are some of the questions that we will be attempting to answer. And the fourth module, and arguably the most important from a marketing perspective, tactical marketing perspective, would be social engagement. Can you create programs that engage consumers? And that could be always on consistent programs on how do you manage your Facebook channels or Twitter channels or whatever you have to creating specific programs like we just talked about Sandshot Freeze. And all of these obviously have to have a measurement framework that defines what's working